Hello and welcome back to We Are Crafted in His Image. I'm back again with project number 3 for our Coco and Crafts for October. And one of the things I forgot to mention in our very first project was that your kit also came with a blending brush. So you're going to need that today. We're going to use the Balmy Blue ink instead of the Evening Evergreen, and this is the card we're going to make. And I love the fact that you could easily switch this up and this could become a birthday card rather than a Christmas card. So let's get started. We're going to go ahead and pull out what we need, and I'm wondering if I did. Oh, I did. Yay, 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 yay. I do remember it. I did remember it. Okay. Let's see. What do we need out here? We're going to need our ink. We do not need last week's projects stuff. See, that's still in there. I'm going to get rid of that. Aha! Okay, I should have warned you, there are some sequins in here. So beware when you open your envelope. Check. Some of them are tiny little things. Make sure that they're all in there. You don't lose them. Don't have them bouncing everywhere. So here are our envelopes, and we will need those for stamping. We'll need these for stamping. And we will need these for stamping. These two we're going to set aside for our next project. I mean, for assembling. I am going to need a scrap piece of paper, as usual. And open up our blue, grab your blending brush. What we're going to do is we're going to basically shade one side, focusing most of the shading in this area, kind of making like a half. You could actually shade it across, like straight across, but I kind of went in almost a half circle, if that makes sense. So I'm just going to start by tapping some color, tap off the excess so you don't get a splotch, and then just work your way in. And one thing you can do to see if it's about the size you want is hold your little wreath here and say, okay, I need to go out a little bit further with my color, a little bit more over this way. That one's good. And let me do this one. Oh, I didn't realize, am I in line with you guys? Can you see it? Okay, so I've got some shading. Yeah, I might be able to go a little more over this way. And then I want to do something similar on the envelope. I'm going to do it on the left-hand side though instead of the right-hand side. So let me go ahead and I think I'm going to do mostly in this bottom corner where I'm going to stamp some of those stars. So I'm just going to kind of do the corner of it. Go up a little bit up the side, but most of it right down in here. Like that. Ooh, it almost looks like a sky. Okay, so this is the top of your envelope. So I want to do this corner, so I'm going to put it like that. And there we have it, some shading on our envelopes. So I can set aside my blender brush. Still need the ink out though, because now we want to start stamping a few stars. If I can find the stars. Now if you wanted to, you could switch this up for snowflakes instead of stars. I think snowflakes would go well with this wreath just as much as the stars do. So if you really wanted it to look more Christmassy, you could do, or more wintry, because really Christmas is about stars too. But I'm just going to do the stars on mine. So I'm going to stamp once, stamp again. This time I think I will, whoops, stamp on here, and then stamp again. so I get some variation in my stars. I need to hold this closer to me. There we go. Stamp, maybe this time down here and here. Oh, and you know what? It needs some right there. There we go. Okay, now this is the front of our card. These are envelopes. Envelopes are finished. So the front of our card, I'm going to lay this out so I can get an idea of where I want my stars to be. I want some down here, I want some up here, and I want some over here. I don't necessarily want the whole thing covered. So I'm just going to stamp once, kind of rotate a little bit, stamp again. Then I know this other one's going to be down here, maybe a little further in. And then on the third one, I'm gonna, whoops, let's see, right about there, stamp, and then maybe stamp down like that. There we go. Yes. Alright, so let's do the same thing on this one. Technically I don't need my background sheet or my scrap piece because I'm not really going off, but just in case. I don't like having to keep getting a nice fresh sheet out every single time I do a video, so scrap sheets to the rescue. And the last one about there. I like it. All right. So now we do need to stamp on our little word strip right here. And what I'm actually going to do is, first let me get my words out and get them on a block. And they have one in here. It says, "May the sparkle of the season warm your heart and home." And that's what I'm going to use because it kind of goes with the stars and the sparkly. And then in order to know where I want to stamp it, I'm going to set this here, and I think I'm going to use a pencil, and I'm just going to mark like right there so that I know that that's where I want my words to go. I want them, actually, no, this needs to go, I think, a little further. Hold on. Yeah, it's gonna need, I want my words to go, oh, I guess that was about where the edge of that is, but I'll put it here. Okay. So let's see. I would go about 1 inch in from the edge, from the right edge of your piece of cardstock. So go in 1 inch and stamp your words over there. Does that make sense? So let's get this on here. Actually, I'm just going to flip that over so I don't even have to worry about that pencil mark. I'm just going to go 1 inch in, which is right there. Ta-da! And then same thing on this one. Yes! Alright, so those are done. And then what we're going to do is figure out about how far over we want our banner piece to go. Probably about, that's probably good. Now, if you happen to have this punch, you can use it to punch out your little banner end, and I like to actually flip it over this way so that I don't waste too much of the end of it. So you could do that, or you could just use your scissors if you don't, and do like we've done many, many times. You cut into the middle and go from corner to corner. And there you have your little banner edge. Either one works just as well. One's a little bit easier, that's for certain. And now it's time to assemble our card. So let me get my card base back in here if I can figure out where I put it. It is underneath my scrap paper. Got it. Let's go ahead and fold. Now, I actually did not put anything on the inside of my sample card, but if you want to stamp a few of the stars in there, or if you even wanted to do the blending as well, maybe across the bottom of the card, and then a few stars in the corner. So this gets glued on the front. Let's go ahead and get our adhesive out. We have all of our parts everywhere. Get this out of the way. Give me a little more room. Go ahead and put adhesive on this one. Alright, now this has a little bit wider border than I usually do on my cards, so keep that in mind when you're putting it on. Try to have an even border. There we go. Same thing here. But then the next one has a very, very tiny border. Very, very tiny border. There we go. Make sure I'm putting it on the correct side. Yes. There we go. Okay, and then what I did to put this part on, just to make it a little bit easier to line up, scraps. Come here. Got some little scrap pieces in here need to get pulled out. I did put adhesive sheet on the back of these. So for these, you can go ahead and peel off your adhesive backing. There we go. Gently. And kind of get it back into shape again. And then what I did was you slide this in like this, and then don't really stick it down yet. Figure out about where you're going to want it to go. Let's see, if I hold it here, then I can move this over. That looks good. Whoops, keep it straight, Tammy. And then I'm going to go ahead and push that down right there. Now I'm going to put some adhesive on my banner. This would be easier if it wasn't on there. There we go. Actually, I should have gone all the way across that. Alright, I'm going to do it different on the next one. Now I remember how I did it. Don't stick to me! And then you just stick this whole thing down slightly below the center. Okay, so it's not centered on there. Make sure your banner is nice and straight across, and then push everything down. And then to make sure it's done, flip it over and give it a good burnish. Alright, so now this one, let's do it correctly. Let's put adhesive on this first. Pull our little backings off, any little pieces that need to come out of there. Pull the backing off your sticky. There we go. I think I want it to go through there. And then figure out where you want it. So now I can go ahead and set this down. If I need to adjust my wreath, I can. Make sure I'm straight. And there we have that. Done. Okay, now If you have your take your pick tool, you will need it for this part. Otherwise, you might be fumbling a little bit. This is where the take your pick tool is super, super handy. We're going to pull over our little sequins. And the first thing I like to do is get them out and figure out where exactly I want them. So I'm going to get this so that I can see. I have one over here. Now I gave you an option on colors. These came from, see, I already lost one of my sequins. These sequins came from the new packet of subtle shimmer sequins, and you can see that they have silvers and whites in various shades. Like the white is kind of a muted smoky, and so is some of the silver, and some of the silver is shiny. I gave you silver, I gave you some shiny silver, and I gave you some of the more subtle, what do you call it? Not smoky, that's not the word I'm looking for. I can't think of the word. Anyway, it's not as shiny. So you can decide if you want to do a variety of them or if you want all the same. So I think I may do, like here I could do that, or I could do them all shiny. I think I like the all shiny myself. So I'm going to opt for shiny. Now you see why I like the take your pick tool? Do you see how easy that is? So then what I'm going to do is just slightly move these out of my way. Put some glue where I wanted them, where they were at. So just a little bit of glue. Little dot, little dot, little dot. Make that one slightly larger. And then you pick up your sequin and you drop it down. And there you go. And then you're going to need to let those dry before you mess with this card. Stay there. Thank you. Alright, so let me do the second one. Maybe I'll do the not so shiny, the dull. There's the word. That's not really what I was looking for though. There was another word. Anyway. Matte. Matte. That's the word I was looking for. There's a matte finish and a shiny finish. So do the same thing. I'm going to move those out of the way. And you have extras. So if you want to do more than the 3 that I'm putting on mine, go right ahead. Usually the rule of thumb is odd numbers. So if you don't do 3, I would recommend doing 5. But I kind of like these 3 where they're at, so I'm going to stick with that. And there we go. Those are finished. Okay, put everything away here. Cap on it so I don't get it all ruined. And you have a few extra sequins for another project. So there we have our 2 cards, and I totally didn't listen to myself and I just moved that off its spot. There we go. Be careful, don't move them until they're dry, or at least be careful when you do that you don't mangle it. And there we go, 2 finished cards for our, is this our second project? Third project. Third project for this Coco & Crafts class. I hope you enjoyed it, and until next time, God's love and blessings to you. Bye!